everyone. Welcome to Leadership Live by Sounding Board. I'm Christine Tao. I'm the co-founder and CEO at Sounding Board. And I have two fabulous guests with me today, Ashton Stockstill and Angela Truong, both from Cloudera. They are folks that we have had the pleasure of working with actually for quite some time. And I'm super excited for them to be able to share a little bit of their own personal stories, as well as some of the incredibly impactful work that they're doing at Cloudera. So welcome, both of you.
Thanks, Christine.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, well, one of the things that we always start the live stream with is learning a little bit more about the folks joining us. And so the first question is always the same, and it's one of my favorites, which is really, what is your origin stories?
I love it. It makes me feel like a superhero.
Or a villain.
As you should.
Or a villain. I don't know. Depends on the day. I think I'm here because I really enjoy making things efficient, and I really believe in the power of curiosity and upskilling. My journey, if you will, started in a windowless basement where my university's IT group was housed. My first job. The people around me helped me recognize how the spirit of curiosity and continuous learning can transform pain points into possibilities. And it led to upskilling becoming something that wasn't just a necessity for problem solving, but it became pathways for really exciting possibilities for me. I think this mindset has guided me well professionally, leading me to courses and workshops, learning and development, where I've met some of my dearest friends, and it's helped me stay current and adaptable in our changing environment. That takes me to today, where I get to prioritize learning, collaborating, and using data insights to enhance leadership skills. I think my love for learning does extend beyond work. I've picked up more hobbies, Ashton knows, and home improvement projects than I can really maintain. But each experience enriches my understanding. I think they're all good. Ultimately, I aim to create an inclusive space where everyone feels valued and empowered to learn and to lead together. I believe that everyone is a leader, and we can all have a positive impact on one another in one way or another.
Amazing. And what's your home improvement project that you are most proud of?
Last week we fixed our fence gate. We've done none of these things before, and there was many Home Depot trips, but my partner figured out that you can get a ratchet to align things together even if you don't have a stable flat ground. It was amazing. Teamwork and YouTube.
YouTube is amazing. I feel like you can learn pretty much anything you need on YouTube. Well, how about you, Ashton? I'd love to hear your origin story as well.
I feel like mine's less interesting. It's definitely less articulate than Angela's, but I can take a shot, and I'll try to keep it simple. I've always been passionate about enabling people to bring the best version of themselves to work. And I think younger or earlier in my days, this began or started with aspirations of being a school teacher. But once I graduated college, this sort of morphed into learning and development. And I actually started my career in L&D. I was at Citibank for a number of years before I made the swap or the switch into tech. And then a few years ago, I feel like, I don't know, it's almost 5 years now. So I don't know if I can say I started at Cloudera a few years ago anymore. But Cloudera afforded me the opportunity to expand my scope to include DE&I, and I've really found that recognizing somebody's full self is instrumental to them being the best version of themselves, personally and professionally. So that's why I'm here today.
Amazing. And, I think that what we've learned, at least doing this show, has been like how much of that origin story, a desire for learning or curiosity or things in your past has driven a lot of folks in this industry into the professions that you're in. And so it's super interesting to hear that that's also similar for both of you. I'd love to dive a little bit more into that then, because I think one of the things we've learned as we've worked with you and at Cloudera has been that you've had a pretty incredibly innovative approach to thinking about L&D and learning, and then DE&I. And so could you share a little bit more about what that vision is and how you're implementing that?
Yeah, I'll kick it off for DE&I and then I'll hand it over to Angela. But for my team, our vision is really to cultivate an inclusive environment, to promote innovation and enable Clouderans across the organization, regardless of where they sit, to realize their full potential. This commitment really motivates us to champion diversity in all forms and ensures that each person, regardless of gender identity, race, sexual orientation, veteran status, or any other aspects of their identity, is really treated fairly. And so through, several programs, but really our employee resource groups, a lot of the programmatic collaboration that we do with the rest of HR, Angela's team especially, we try to be champions for folks' unique perspectives and experiences. So really trying to push the needle forward in all spaces while also fostering an open space where those voices are heard and celebrated.
How about you, Angela?
Well, to support DEI's vision, L&D offers a variety of programs to help employees understand the impact of identity at work and develop habits to create and maintain an effective and collaborative environment. In terms of the L&D dream, for me, it's a dynamic and agile learning environment that both enhances individual satisfaction and also organizational performance. It's accessible and it's truly supported and championed by leadership. I think for the full L&D impact to be realized, we really need the strategy to be integrated to the company's plans to achieve that big vision and those broader objectives.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point, right? That one, aligning learning to the business strategy, but then you've also named that as getting leadership on board to really champion and support the programs. Is there anything you can say about how you've tried to do that or what you've learned in terms of how to do that more successfully?
I can say that we try to foster that co-ownership between lines of business and L&D, both when we are designing programs in-house, as well as when we develop those in partnership with our strategic partners like Sounding Board. We should try to stay as closely aligned as we can with the company's overall goals so that it can really be firmly embedded in the organization's culture and then be really utilized, right?
Yeah, yeah. Anything you want to add on that, Ashton?
Very similar. We're very fortunate that we've got a lot of leaders who are very passionate about our people. And I think it makes my job, Angela's job, really, really much easier when you have leaders who are that invested. And I think we're very fortunate that they see the people that we have at our organization as a business imperative. We've got a lot of goals, a lot of growth that we have forecasted for the future. And we know that the way to do that is through the investment of our talent and the investment of the people around the world, that not just internally, but our customers that we're serving as well. And so I think, just to double down on Angela's point, a lot of the learning, a lot of the DE&I work, it's really embedded into the fabric of the organization and not an add-on or an extra thing that folks need to find time for. We've really worked hard to embed this and work in partnerships across the organization rather than silos just kind of pushing out.
Yeah, I do think that that's important just because of, well, one, everybody is busy, right? And although we all have an intention and desire to learn, oftentimes at work you feel pressured that you have to be working. And so being able to integrate or embed that, I think, is critical, especially in getting folks enrolled and engaged. Well, I know that one of your sponsorship programs was recently even named a finalist for an award, right, around 2024 CSR and Diversity Award for the Reagan Awards. And so could you just tell everyone a little bit more about what that program entailed?
Yeah. So our sponsorship program, first and foremost, is really meant to address the disparity between mentorship and sponsorship experienced by women and underrepresented groups. Historically, these communities have not received the same opportunities. I have a lot of people who are willing to talk with them, but not a lot of people who are willing to talk about them. So the primary goal of the program is really to amplify the high potential talent that we have in the organization, increase their visibility within the company, and actively advocate them. We operate on a cohort-based model that spans 6 months, and again, very strategic partnership with Sounding Board, where we are not only able to pair them with a senior leader within the organization, but we get them access to a leadership coach that is really solely there to help them and be a resource to target their development to reach those leadership goals. This really just enhances their personal and professional development, and I think empowers them to navigate the challenges that they come across, seize the opportunities for growth. And over the course of the last 4 years, we've helped just over 100 folks, and have definitely seen major growth, not just professional or personally within each one of those proteges, but also within the organization in terms of increasing that pipeline. So we are moving the needle in terms of diversity and leadership as well.
That's amazing. And one like sort of detail on that. I know you talk about mentorship and sponsorship, but could you share a bit more? We do have a lot of folks that are very, steeped in DE&I, but maybe even sharing more like how's that defined, and why is it important to have both of those things as part of your program?
Yeah, I would actually say it's almost this beautiful trifecta of there are elements of mentorship. We definitely hone in on the sponsorship piece, so getting education and awareness to our senior leaders to help them promote the folks that they're paired with. So increasing visibility, inviting them into rooms, not just to the table, but into rooms that maybe they wouldn't have been invited to previously, but also the coaching that they're able to get. So we're really architecting an experience where folks have the best of all of these elements in terms of having someone to talk with them, having someone to talk to them, as well as having someone there to talk about them.
I love that. That's it feels like you get surrounded by support, and you've really thought about all of the aspects that you really need to be able to actually start to change the equation and move the needle on development. Could you share, or Angela share a bit more about like the coaching and how that plays a role in this vision, and what was the goal and impact of that?
I'll hand this one over to Angela because I feel like sponsorship is a very niche case, but we do have a broader view for the rest of the organization.
Coaching definitely complements our broader learning initiatives really well. It offers tailored feedback, accountability, and those opportunities for people to engage in deeper reflection. I think coaching is a fantastic way to foster the growth of ideas and possibilities in people, really expanding their perspectives around what leading others or leading for impact looks like. I think our partnership now is 4 years in counting. The approach has been the same. It's forward looking. We lean into the one-on-one coaching for our individual contributors as well as our people managers to lend support as they develop those key skills and competencies that they need to achieve their career goals. Coaching provides that individualized support as they navigate challenges as well as refining their strengths. You offer a beautiful thing. And I think this last April marked the second year we've leaned into your more newish group coaching options.
Yep.
To support our professional growth of women and emerging talent in engineering and support. I'd say, all in all, it's had a wonderful positive impact in our employees on that professional but also personal level. Participants have told us they feel it as their confidence has improved as they've gained that valuable insight and actionable strategy that's really tailored to their specific challenges.
Yeah, I think, certainly, when Lori and I started the company, it was because of my own experience in working with the coach and how powerful that was for me as also, sort of a new up and coming leader. And it's been really incredible to be able to see that scale to many more people, beyond, like you said, even down to individual contributors or folks that may not even be in leadership roles yet. And so, would you have any other particular learnings or, based on all of these different programs that you've run and even beyond coaching, like what other learnings would you want to share with other L&D and DEI leaders? We have a lot of folks that join this live stream that often may be, in the trenches and delivering programs themselves, designing them themselves. But they love to hear any specifics, like it could even be programs that you've done that have been very impactful and any specific points you might want to share about those.
Angela, do you want to go first?
Sure. I'd say be open to reviewing and iterating on those existing programs. We spend a lot of energy finding out what people need and building it, but even successful programs can be improved upon. Reevaluating them as time passes, and sometimes it hurts, but it helps you assess and really realign it with what your current employee needs are. And if leadership strategy changes, to adapt to those. We have programs, for instance, one we designed for new managers. It was a wonderful program. It's been successful for all the years that we've run it, but we are sunsetting it this year because
Oh, interesting.
it's no longer something that our new managers need. We've so many different programs that are going to serve that same need in a different way that's going to reach them more effectively. So it's important to reevaluate, even if it was your baby.
Is there actually, Angela, I hope you don't mind, but I think that's such a important thing to actually be able to like put out there to say that you do, right? Because we're so, and ourselves as well, you get really attached to these things that you pour your heart and your time and effort into. And then to be able to actually say, you know what, we're actually not going to do that anymore. I feel like, how did you come to that decision around programs that you decide to sunset? And, how do you think about or gather data around how and what it needs to evolve to?
I cannot take credit for that. It's a holistic picture that we look at as a team. So we try to meet there once or twice a year to just look at what all have we created, what are we offering, what are the needs, and are we meeting them with what we have, or do we need to find ways to reach them differently?
Amazing. Anything you want to say on that, Ashton? I just feel like, people don't talk about this very often, and that's really, brave and also like honest for you to share that. So,
I mean, I would double down on the be okay with iterations and moving away. If something served its purpose at that point in time, then great. Things change, organizations are dynamic, and so the offerings are going to have to remain dynamic as well. But if I was to try to add, because I'm only adding and I could never top Angela, I would probably tell folks, think big, but start small. Have really big aspirations. Think about what is, that blue sky, that end goal, the thing that you're trying to achieve. But you don't have to boil the ocean. You can start very, very small. Our sponsorship program, while I've waxed poetic about it on here and probably for the last several years within the organization, it started out as a pilot. We didn't know if it was going to go beyond the first group. And we had said it's going to be for these 20 folks and we'll see how it goes. And like, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. And we've been able to continue that journey. And Angela's worked very closely with me on this program too, so she can speak to it as well. But I don't think we've ever done each group or a group the same way as we did the previous one. So I think just harkening back to that, be okay with iteration and changing things. Something can work at one point and then organizationally, environmentally, things change and you just have to be willing to adjust. But think big, but start small.
I love that. Could you, because like I said, people often want to know, but what did you change? Or, how did you evolve it? Is there anything specific or an example you could share about like, hey, we actually started doing this and then it moved to this?
I'd have to look at Angela, see if you can think of anything big. I don't know if there's been any major structural changes. It's usually just we will do something differently or have a different offering, because part of the program, in addition to the sponsor and the coach, is we will have monthly learnings and sessions that each group will select a topic. And I know we've changed the format of those a couple times. I want to say in the first group, Angela, we changed it like mid-program, like the thing that we were doing that didn't go, that sounded a lot better in our head than it did in real life. We've changed the size, like the number of pairs, but I don't think anything really big. I try to keep my hands out of folks as much as possible. So we've really gone with like a framework and then just adjusting the flavors of it. But Angela, if you can think of anything.
I'd say small changes, big impact. I think the way people to offer their time to this program has changed over time, and how much they're willing to engage with it has changed over time. We made the ask smaller, the impact became larger.
Oh, you wouldn't think that, right? So that's incredible. And I also even love that fact of you were willing to change something even midstream, and say like, hey, we're kind of getting a sense, however you got that feedback that this part of it isn't working quite like you would have expected. And that's what I think, if you think about product development, right? Like we have sprint cycles and we're actually constantly releasing and iterating. And I love that you have that same approach with your own programs as well. Well, this half hour always goes super fast. So we are actually down to our last few minutes. And so what I heard was, sort of start small, don't think big, but start small. And what else is there anything else you would want to add to that, Angela? Or do either of you have any other parting words, maybe advice even for folks today that are looking to further broaden or maybe move up or further the impact of their programs?
I feel like she's going to force me to go first because I've had her go first, like the last two questions. Maybe advice for folks individually, on their professional journey. Don't waste the opportunity that change or chaos can provide. So, if something is different, that's not necessarily bad. And I think generally speaking, as humans, sometimes we have very strong opinions that these are the steps that I'm going to take. The twists in your career are sometimes the most fun and will lead you to the most unexpected places. So be willing to go down that tangent a little bit.
How about you, Angela?
I think just try. I've been so lucky to be around people who let me just try. YouTube it, research it, and then try. Like some research involved, and try.
I love that. Both of those. I mean, that's really all we can do, right? Is just try, and you put forth your best effort and you have to get comfortable with the outcome. And Ashton, I will certainly say that some of my most exciting career opportunities and places that I've developed the most often actually came from feeling like I had hit a wall somewhere, including even getting laid off and being worried about where I was going to go next. And so I definitely personally have experienced that advice that you gave as well. Well, we have hit the end of our time. I have so enjoyed being able to chat with both of you today. Thank you so much for sharing your both personal experiences as well as your professional ones. And of course, congratulations again on the recognition for the work that you're doing. It's been incredibly fulfilling for us to be able to partner with both of you as well and with Cloudera, and looking forward to what we get to do together next year.
Thank you so much.
Okay, well, thank you, everyone. Goodbye.